Hello, I'm Tom Rosztoczy, President and CEO of Stotz Equipment. Travis has asked me to spend a little time with you today, sharing with you a little bit about our family history and company history. So we start our family and company history back in 1904. My great grandfather was Mott Elder, seen on the left in this picture. And our history goes back at least as far as 1904. Mott worked for John Deere Company. I don't know when he started, but I do know that in 1904, he got on a boat in New York and sailed to Argentina, where he sold farm equipment for John Deere for the rest of his working career. Mott and his wife had one son, Fred, who was born and raised in Argentina. Fred's on the right in this picture. When Fred was 18, Fred's parents sent him back to the United States to get a college degree. Fred went to Kansas State University and he graduated in 1929. When Fred graduated from Kansas State, he got a job working for a John Deere company, and John Deere sent him to Phoenix, Arizona to sell farm equipment. It was 1929. John Deere Company made one tractor at the time. It was a Model D, seen in this picture, had 32 horsepower. In Phoenix, Central Avenue was still a dirt road, so Phoenix was a pretty small town. Fred and Mott are on my mom's side of the family, so I need to introduce you to my dad. My dad is Ferenc Rosztoczy. Ferenc was born in 1932 in Szeged, Hungary. Here's a picture of Ferenc with his father and his cousin, my dad sitting in his father's lap. When Ferenc was 15, he came home from school one day and he told his mom, "I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a farmer. But I know it takes a lot of money to be a farmer, so first I'm going to be a chemist until I can make enough money to be a farmer." That's actually what Ferenc did. He went to college, got a degree in chemistry, and started working in a chemical factory in Budapest. Back in the US, Fred worked for the John Deere dealership in Phoenix until 1947, when he and two partners founded their own John Deere dealership, Arizona Machinery Company. When it started, it was a combination John Deere Caterpillar dealership. They had four locations. These are pictures of all four. The second from the top was the Phoenix store. The Phoenix store was actually on Central Avenue, now paved. And while it would seem like a big business today, a combined John Deere Caterpillar dealership, it wasn't such a big deal back then. The building they were in Phoenix was a laundromat before it became a dealership. And for the first year in business, they continued to take in laundry over the parts counter. Back in Hungary, 1956, Ferenc is 24, working as a chemist in Budapest, and there's a Hungarian revolution. The Hungarians try to throw out the Russians. It doesn't go very well. The Russians crush the revolution. Lots of Hungarians, including my dad, his brother, and 5 friends, decided to try to escape. Ferenc and his brother and 5 friends actually managed to escape, got to Austria, and by January of 1957, they made it to the United States. Back in the US, Fred had 2 kids, my mom, Diane, in the middle of this picture, and her brother, Tom, on the left. My mom was born in 1941, went to high school in Phoenix, graduated in 1959, and went off to Stanford University to pursue a Spanish degree. 1959 was a big year in the history of the company. Originally a John Deere Caterpillar dealership, in 1959 things were split up. John Deere and Caterpillar were no longer friendly with each other. Fred and his partners wanted to split up as well, and so the business was split. The name Arizona Machinery Company stayed with Fred, and Fred wound up with 3 John Deere dealership locations in and around the Phoenix area. Up in the Bay Area, my mom's going to Stanford. My dad's gets into University of California's graduate program in chemistry, and they wind up meeting in the Bay Area in May of 1963. They wound up getting married in December of 1963, actually December 21st. And my dad used to like to say with a smile about that big that December 21st was the longest night of the year. Back in Phoenix, Fred continued to run the John Deere business until 1973 when he passed away from lung cancer. For 2 years, somebody else ran the business, but my mom and my Uncle Tom had both inherited an ownership interest when Fred passed away. In 1975, the other gentleman announced his retirement, and Uncle Tom was looking for someone to help run the business. He called my dad. My dad was a scientist in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time, but my dad said yes. And so we moved down to Phoenix so my dad could run Arizona Machinery Company. This is what our family looked like at the time. I'm the oldest. I'm on the far right. My brother Rob is next on the far left, and then my sister Steffi. So my dad and the John Deere business were successful in the 70s. Farming was good in the 70s. And at the time, John Deere wasn't interested in having larger dealerships, so there was no way to expand within the John Deere business. So my dad invested the money we made in farmland around Phoenix, and he built a dairy in 1980. This is a picture of that dairy. It started out as a 500 cow dairy named Stotz Dairy, and today we milk about 10,000 cows. Stotz came from a nickname for Rob and myself when we were in high school at the time. Rosztoczy is a complicated last name, so our friends in high school called us either Stotz or Stotzy, and my dad picked up on that to name the dairy. 1980 was when the dairy was built. 1980 is also when my youngest brother Teddy was born. And here's a picture of Teddy out visiting the dairy with my dad. I graduated from college and joined the business in the 80s. Rob joined in the 90s. Teddy wound up joining in the 2000s. About 20 years ago, John Deere started to change their philosophy as far as their dealerships. For a long time, they liked small mom and pop operations. Arizona Machinery, as a three-store dealership, was actually pretty large at the time. But Deere decided that it made more sense to have larger, more professionally run businesses, and they started a drive for consolidation. And it was great timing for myself and Rob and our family as we were interested in growing the business. Over the course of the last 20 plus years, we made a total of 15 acquisitions and grown into the business you see on this map. We're now called Stotz Equipment, and we've got 25 locations in 8 Western states. As we grew, we realized that my dad's approach to running the business didn't really work for us anymore. My dad basically ran it through the strength of his own personality. And when we had 3 stores in Phoenix and he could be in all 3 stores easily within a day, that worked very well. But obviously, we can't do that anymore. So we've decided it makes more sense to try to run the business based on a core philosophy. So I want to introduce you to that core philosophy. We have a purpose statement. Our purpose is creating a better life for our families, communities, and those connected to the land. We have 5 core values: quality, integrity, loyalty, caring, and community. And we have a vision statement to be the best equipment dealer in the world, and a difference statement, how we present ourselves to our customers. Mr. Customer, we're here to make your life easier, and we're going to do it 4 ways: long-term relationships, flexible solutions, uptime availability, and by minimizing customer effort. And the theory of our business basically is that for any employee, if they are faced with a decision, they don't need to call me or Rob or Teddy to find out what to do. They just need to check with our core philosophy. As long as they make a decision that's consistent with everything I just told you about, they made the right decision. I want to say thank you very much for being here. We certainly appreciate your business. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. Look forward to being able to do this in person someday in the future. And I hope you guys have a great time. And Travis, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.